Webinar's done. What's up, guys? Jason here. Welcome to episode 21 of Building an Online Business from Scratch. Today, we are going to talk about EverWebinar and how to use EverWebinar to set up your automated or automated hybrid webinars in less than 30 minutes. So I'm going to speed through the platform. My goal here is to show you what the platform looks like, so you don't have to go purchase it to figure things out. They have great tutorials inside, but this is not necessarily going to be a tutorial. This is going to be a crash course on what the inside looks like, so you know what it looks like before you go and purchase it. And of course, I will also include some little tidbits and golden nuggets that I was only able to learn as a result of contacting support and sending a lot of emails back and forth to get the right answer. And if you're a ClickFunnels user or you don't use ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft, then you really want to pay attention. So let's go ahead. I'm going to switch gears, show you my screen. Let's dive in and get this thing started.
So the first page we come up with is the configuration. So this is where you choose where your video is hosted. They allow for pretty much anything that hosts the video. You'll either use Vimeo, which is what I'm using. You can use YouTube if you want. I definitely don't recommend using YouTube though, because when the app loads, I've seen this on other webinars, for a split second, if they show up right at if they're on the pre-webinar screen and then as the webinar loads, the YouTube thing will flash a little bit, so they'll be able to see, oh, it's YouTube. Of course, you shouldn't be lying that it's not live in the first place, but it definitely, even if they know it's not live, it just, I think, kind of diminishes a little bit the perceived value when you're like, oh, you used a YouTube video. So anyway, they recommend using Amazon S3. I'm sure there's plenty of tutorials out there on how to set that up. Eventually I will, but I'm trying to do things real snappy here. So I just threw it up on Vimeo because that's what I use to host all my membership stuff anyway. I think they're up their price though. I think they're charging like $150 now or something crazy. And anyway, whatever player you decide to use, you'll drop the link in there. They ask you to give the exact duration of the video. And so once you've done that, you'll come down here and you'll be able to give your webinar a name. And this is just an internal name at first, then the title and the webinar description. It's important to put your sales copy heading right on, hat on when you're doing these two, because this is going to integrate into the automatic emails that they send out. So it is important that these two continue that sales process of ensuring that the people show up to the webinar. So then we have, if you want it to be listed on their webinar on demand marketplace. So they have this marketplace where people can go by topic or an industry and look for webinars that they can just play anytime they want. So you can do that if you'd like. And then you can come down here and schedule the webinar. So this is where it gets fun. Now you can only schedule the webinar to run 10 times a week. So what does that mean? If you wanted to do every day, Monday through Friday twice, that would be 2 times 5, 10. So you'd be done. Now, I personally went and did 2 times a day, with the exception of Sunday. I take off for obvious reasons. And then I only did Saturday morning and Friday morning, because Friday night and Saturday night, people probably aren't going to be watching the webinar. So anyway, whatever kind of 10 combination you want, or you can come in here and just tell it to do every day or no, it doesn't have every weekday. That was a different software. Or you can just tell it to do every day at specific times and you're good to go. You can also set it up so that it changes based upon the user's location. So if you always want it to run at 7 o'clock, you can tell the system to say, hey, just change the webinar time to 7 o'clock, whatever time zone they're in. I chose not to do this because I'm going to be on the back end typing away, learning about my customers. So I think that's really important to learn about your customers. So maybe later, after this thing's completely automated and I really have my sales funnel process down, maybe I might go back and do or split test that and see if it works. But right now I'm just going to do Pacific Standard Time because I'm actually going to show up to these. And then you can add actual blackout dates. So whatever country, region you're in, or maybe you're going on, you have particular dates that you have other things, you don't want to have the webinar playing while maybe you're doing a talk or something, then you can enter those in here. And then short-term registration, you can set it up so that they can't register like right now. Maybe you have an email sequence that goes a couple of days. Then you'd say, okay, well, you have to register at least 2 days out, 3 days out, 4 days out, or all the way up to 6, which is pretty cool. Closed all those up. Now we're going to go to step number 2, which is presenters and admins. And this is just where you add the people who are going to be moderating or working with the webinar. So I just have myself. I don't have any help with them yet because I'll be very low traffic when I'm just getting started. So I'll go ahead and proceed to registration. So the registration, this is where you can choose to have a template set up, and they have some pretty good looking ones in here. So if you don't already have a landing page software, definitely would recommend just grabbing one of these templates and going for it. They also enable split testing, so you can split test the pages. What I would recommend is just choosing one design that you like or is similar to, what your audience would respond to, and then, test the headlines first, and then go ahead and test other copywriting elements. But definitely choose one that's basic and then have just copywriting elements good to go. What's also an advantage of these is some of them have relevant countdown timers, which is pretty cool, because if you're using another system, unless you have that advanced integration, which I'll talk about in a little bit, you're not going to be able to do a good countdown timer. So I went ahead and chose select my own, and this allows me to take a button code and place it into my ClickFunnels account. I'll do a separate video on how to do that because it's not as easy as they pretend it will be. So if you're not going to use their landing page, you are going to have to play with CSS to make the button look nice, because the button comes in a predefined color, very similar to kind of this turquoise. And so unless your color scheme on your landing page fits that turquoise thing, you're going to have to play with the CSS to change the button color and the style. So I'll do a separate video over on my YouTube channel about that. I won't get into that now. And then here we have webinar notifications. So they allow you to automatically send 3 emails. I definitely recommend adding your own copy to this. And this is what their basic email looks like. It'll just have your title, your description. Again, that's why it's so important that you have a sales friendly title and description here to get them to show up. And this is it. This is a really basic webinar. So you can they give you all the short codes here. So if you wanted to, you can go in and make these customized. The first one, I kind of left the same. I have pre-webinar videos, so I included those in my second 2. And then, of course, you can have your webinar replay message if you're doing a replay. I am not doing a replay because I want people to show up. So that is something that I will skip here. So here we go. Email autoresponder integration. This is what they actually integrate with. And I want to, this is where it gets a little buggy. And this is what I alluded to in the beginning of the video. Unless you're using unless you're using Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign, the only integration you get is adding people to the registration list. What does that mean? That means, and this is directly from their support. Okay, so I'm not bashing them here. This is just something that I think everyone should be aware of, and it really should be somewhere in their FAQs. I don't expect them to put it on their sales page per se, because that would definitely lower their conversions, but definitely in their FAQs. So unless you have Infusionsoft and ActiveCampaign, the only integration you're going to get is adding people to a predefined list in your autoresponder. After that, there's no integration. What does that mean? That means you won't be able to segment people who showed up or didn't show up unless you're using ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft. That kind of deep integration is only available with the other 2. So if you want to be able to market to people differently, whether they showed up, they left a little early, or they didn't show up at all, you have to manually export those 3 separate email lists and then import them into your autoresponder, which is something personally I'm going to have to do because I just with Stealth Seminar was turned out to be even more messy because I'm using ClickFunnels. Turns out ClickFunnels doesn't really work well when you want to go outside of ClickFunnels. It's kind of like using a Mac. You're stuck on it. Anyway, sorry if you're a Mac fan. Just how it works. It's great inside the ecosystem, but as soon as you go out, not so much. But I'm digressing here. So keep that in mind when you're considering EverWebinar. The email integration is just putting people onto a list so you know who signed up. You're not going to get that advanced kind of, or I'm not going to call it advanced. You're not going to get that very much needed feedback loop of they showed up, they didn't show up, or they kind of showed up and they left early. So that's definitely something you want to consider. Or you can just hire a freelancer to do that thing, process manually for you. At the end of the day, someone on my team is going to have to do that. So she'll get that new task soon. Then we have embed the affiliate link onto your webinar pages. I don't recommend doing this because you're distracting from your webinar itself. And then we have integrate third-party tracking. So this is where you're going to be able to put your Facebook or your Google Analytics here or your custom. So I went ahead and did custom because Facebook has their new pixel. I don't know how long we're going to keep calling it the new pixel because it's been around for such a long time. But the new Facebook pixel, you're going to need to use the custom tracking code because you are going to have to put your events in two different places because Facebook wants you to put the actual tracking code just for the page view and then your actual conversion part in a different part if you are being that savvy, which I hope you are. It's definitely worth the extra effort to track your conversions, not just the page views. But anyway, if you're using the old pixel for some reason, which I really don't recommend, then you can go ahead and follow their Facebook tutorial. And of course, they have Google Analytics for you as well. So I'll just open this up so you can see it. And you literally just drop in your tracking code depending on the page. So you can drop it on the registration page, the post-registration page, the actual webinar itself, and the replay. So the good news is you can integrate all of your ads very easily with EverWebinar, which is kind of weird. You can really integrate the ads well, but you can't really integrate your email well. So you can follow up with ads, not so great on the email front. And then they have API integrations, and this is where there's some blurred out numbers here. And that's where you can go and integrate with some other things. Now, it does integrate with ClickFunnels, but not very well. ClickFunnels only allows you to integrate with one webinar at one time. And so you're going to have to kind of figure out how you change the copy on your landing page because the little pop-up when they go to sign up is not going to dynamically change like with the pop-up that you'd have if you use the actual button. So next we have the thank you. And this is the page that shows up right after they register. So whatever you're using for landing pages, they are going to be sent to this after they sign up for the webinar, unless you're doing some advanced API integration fun stuff. So you can add a video to it. You can tell them what the text will be. The text will be underneath the video if you decide to have a video on there. I just have some very simple text. And then they also have the ability to set up a survey. And the survey stuff is actually really, really good. I was surprised. I hadn't even thought about doing a survey for this type of thing, but it really allows you to customize how you can have A, B, C, or you could have a little short answer. So it's really good. And if you're a fan of Ryan Levesque and his ask method, this is definitely a part of something that you should explore doing. I just didn't have time because I didn't know that you could do this. So I didn't have time to go and set all of that up and launch on time. So anyway, next we'll go to live, which is step number 7. And these are all of the settings that you have for your actual webinar itself. So you can display a video on the countdown page. So this is the page that they come to if they come to the webinar a little earlier. So I made sure to put a page on there. You can add some more polls and you can add polls and surveys as the webinar goes. You can disable the chat or make the chat just between you and the viewers. You can have little announcements that pop up. And then product offers, this is important, so I'm going to go into that. I'm rushing through here now because, as usual, I talked a lot. And I'll just go ahead and edit this offer so you can see what it looks like. So this is what the offer will look like. It'll give you your title, your little sub title, and then the button. You can change the text. And for some reason, my image isn't showing up, but I have a little image there. That's where the image would go in the center. You can also set up sticky messages that just sit at the top of the chat box, live sales alerts, and then display social media buttons, which I definitely don't recommend because you want them to watch your webinar. So going fast here, then you can either enable or disable the replay page. And this is something the system will automatically set up and automatically drive traffic to because it will give every registrant a link to this replay page. And next we have monetization, and this is important if you are making sales off of your webinar, which hopefully you are. So you can actually charge for the webinar on the front end, and then they also give you a tracking code that you can place on your shopping cart confirmation page. Don't put it on the shopping cart, but the confirmation page, and this will feed back into the EverWebinar stats and allow you to see your return on revenue per webinar, which is really cool. So you can come in here and edit it, and it's just a little piece of code, just like Facebook or Google or Analytics or anything else, and you just throw it onto the body copy, the body tag of your page, and you are good to go. Do you run an affiliate program? Yeah, that'll be fun stuff if you are really big into running for webinars, for affiliates, and then you are good to go. That's it. So that's all there is to it, to putting together a webinar in EverWebinar. Of course, that was a really, really fast overview of EverWebinar, and I just want to share with you really quickly what the stats look like. They give you plenty of stats. This is going to show up as nothing because I just turned it on. And once it loads, it gives you the analytics of the traffic you got, the analytics inside your webinar, so you can see how people responded, or actually, one person did. That was me. So I logged on and watched one of my own webinars just to make sure it all worked correctly, which I highly recommend you do. And then, of course, down here, you can actually come in and see the email addresses of the attendees. And this is where you'd want to export different lists of people who showed up, didn't show up, or registered and just showed up part-time. And you'll want to export those and put them into your autoresponders so you can properly follow up with those leads, because you definitely don't want to leave them on the table. Just because they didn't buy on the webinar doesn't mean they're not ready to buy. But anyway, that's outside the scope of just talking about the basics of EverWebinar. So I hope you found this helpful, and that does it for the quick overview of the EverWebinar software.
And that's all there is to it, to putting together a webinar. Obviously, you can do that in probably 15, 20 minutes because all the hard work was already done, right? The hard work was writing the actual webinar, coming up with the actual landing pages, and the copy for your emails. This is just kind of putting everything together. So I definitely don't want to downplay how important it is to spend a lot of time on the content that you're putting into EverWebinar. But I hope that was helpful. I hope those little tidbits and things I learned by contacting support were able to help you make a more informed decision when choosing your webinar software. So I want to thank you again for watching. If you got some value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And then if you're on YouTube, subscribe for more business building and marketing tactics and strategies just like the one I shared in this video. Again, in this series, I'm going from A to Z on how to build an online business from scratch by simply doing it and then recording videos like this, showing you every step of the process, the ups and the downs. And I can definitely tell you, contacting support and figuring all those things out was definitely a low point. I didn't have this much energy when I was going through that. It was more like this and just rubbing my eyes a lot and going at the computer screen. But anyway, in the comment section below, go ahead and let me know if you've ever used EverWebinar before, or if you're using a different platform to run your webinars and what you like about it. If you've never run a webinar before, go ahead and just drop in the comment section and let us know what kind of webinar you're thinking of doing and what industry or niche you're in, and we can get a great discussion going, figuring out what software would be best for you and your situation, because integrations and the type of business you have is just so critical to figuring out which software is best for you. I really thought there would be a one-size-fits-all solution, and going through this process, it's definitely not true. So make sure you comment below to figure out what the best webinar software is for you. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep building the business you love. Take care.